Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to start with the command prompt, right? And command prompt is basically the terminal, which is named command prompt in Windows, and you could call it anything, but the commands that you can use inside the terminal are basically what we are going to see in this video, right? So first thing is, why would you even want a terminal, right? So the thing on the bottom here is the terminal in the GURM ID, and why would you even want a terminal? Like what's its use and all of that. So what we do from here, like I'm going on my screen, I can press this minimize button, I can press this full screen button, and I can do this to go here, and I have a lot of things open. I can press on any of these things to open them. But this is known as a GUI, right? GUI is made for a normal user, and even though you can do a whole lot of things with it, there are a lot of things that you can not do with the normal GUI. And what the terminal is basically a place where you can write commands to do anything in your whole computer. You can do all of the things that are just listed and any other thing you can think of in your computer using the terminal. And there's nothing that a GUI can do but a terminal can't do. And there are a lot of things that a terminal can do but a GUI can't do, right? The terminal is actually the most powerful place on the whole computer. You can call it the place from where you can rule your whole computer, and you just need to know the commands to do something, and you'll be able to do that really quickly. Now, what I'm saying, you might be thinking that we're going to see a lot of hacker stuff and we're going to see loads of those things, but actually we're not going to see that complex things in these videos, right? Because the scope of the terminal is really, really huge, and you cannot possibly, even if you spend your whole life on it, you cannot possibly remember all the commands that are in the terminal. What you do is, if you need to do something, you just search how to do this on the Google, and you will get a terminal solution easily, right? Great. So what we're going to see in this video is like basic traversal of files, going from one file to other file and going back, and a lot of those things, and making folders, removing folders, opening folders, and all those things, right? So let's just start with that, right? So the first is traversing between things, and even before that, let's say you don't have this open in some place, right? Or because terminal is central to a lot of things, it's not just in the GURM ID. So you might want to see what all you have inside the folder, right? So first thing is what you have written here, this web dev course, is your main folder which you are in right now. So if you write pwd, it prints out /web dev course. And why is that? pwd stands for present working directory. So in the terminal, you will always be like in one directory, right? In one, you will be always, you can imagine this to be like a ball, and that ball will always be in one directory, and all the commands you write will be working in that directory only, right? So if currently I write a command to make a new folder, that folder will be made inside the current directory which I'm in, which is the web dev course, right? This slash thing, we know that this initial slash means the extreme root, right? If I access the initial slash in my laptop, it will be the extreme root directory of my my laptop, and everything will be below that. The extreme parent is the slash. So in GURM, we have the extreme parent, inside which we have the workspace, inside which we have our project name, right? So currently we are in the web dev course, and let's say you want to list all the things that are inside this web dev course. So I'll just type ls, and you can see what happens there. I get main.js, secondary.js, and this GURM.manifest. This is just a GURM thing. You can ignore that. So if you type ls is basically list. So that will list out all the things inside your current directory, right? And let's say you had another folder here, and I'll actually make a folder, not a file. And the folder name will be intro to command line, and I'll move these two things inside of that folder. So I've done that with simple drag and drop now. So you can see I have a web dev course inside which I have an intro to command line folder, inside which I have my main.js and secondary.js files, right? So first I'll type clear. You can type clear and press enter to clear your terminal. And now if I press ls, I say intro to command line as a folder, right? And if I open this, so now let's say I want to open this, right? So that is actually done by changing the directory. So currently we're in the web dev course, but now I want to go inside the intro to command line, right? That folder. I want to do things inside of that folder. So for that we'll have to go into that folder, and how you can do that is by using the cd command, right? CD basically stands for change directory. So what we are doing is we are changing a directory to our new directory. So what you do is CD and then you type the name of your new directory. Now there are a lot of spaces in this, so this does look a little weird. So what I'm going to do is, now you can't just say that if you put some spaces in between here, they will be seen as something else by the terminal. So if you have a folder in which you have these spaces, although you should not have such a folder, so I'll rename this. So I'll use my camel case. Right. So now I have a folder which does not have any spaces in between. So what I can do is I can type in my terminal intro to command line. And now I see I move into the intro to command line folder, right? Basically the last thing written before this hash is your current directory. So now if I write pwd, which is the present working directory, I see I'm inside the intro to command line folder. And if I press ls now, I see I get the two files which are inside of my intro to command line, right? So what if I want to go back to this web dev course? That I can do by doing dot dot, right? So there are three things. One is dot, right? Dot basically means the current directory. So if you type cd dot, nothing will change and you will be in the current directory again, because dot represents the current directory, right? I don't know what happened there, right? So dot represents the current directory. Dot dot represents the previous directory, right? Something weird is happening with this. Right. So we were in the intro to command line directory and we went back to the previous directory by doing cd dot dot slash. So now we are back in the previous directory, and when you are in this cd intro to command line, when you're in the intro to command line, you can just write cd web dev course. You see, it gives you no such file or directory here, right? Because well, that is because there is, if you do ls here, there's no web dev course directory inside this intro to command line directory, right? Basically only if you're writing cd here and then you're writing something here, the first place and the only place in which this folder will be, or this file will be found, is inside the current directory, right? So you can't write cd web dev course here and you can't expect to go into this. If you want to go to cd web dev course, you have to do dot dot. So basically everything you write after cd will be with respect to the current directory. So you have to give a proper path from the current directory to the directory you want to go to, right? So this was cd and this was ls. The next thing is, what if you want to make a folder, right? Right now we made a folder by clicking here and then clicking folder. But what if you want another folder inside of this? And let's go to So if I open, and what you can do is, like, this is a long name, so you can type intro and you can press tab, right? So that will auto complete that for you, right? So great. So now you're inside the intro to command line directory, and let's say I want to make a new directory. So how you can do that is you can write mkdir, meaning make directory, and then you can give the name of the directory there, right? So I'll type in uh, test directory, right? And you see a new directory has been added in this, which is on the same level as main.js and secondary.js, which is inside the intro to command line. So now if I type ls, I have three things: main.js, secondary.js, and test directory, right? Great. So we added a directory successfully here, and now I can move into that directory, let's say, and now if I do pwd, I am in the current directory, this, right? Great. So that was mkdir, which means make directory, right? So this was a command for making a folder. Now what if you want to make a file? Does that mean you'll have to go there and click? No, you don't actually have to do that. What you can do is you can do touch, and you can write the name of the file, which is, let's say, new.js, and that is inside the test directory. So we see inside the test directory we have a new file, new.js. I can type something again.js, and you see a new file gets added here, right? So touch is basically the command that after that you'll write your file name, and that will be added in your current folder. So what I can do is I can go back. So I'm currently in my web dev course directory, right? And now what I can do is I can touch a file named readme.md, and I can open that. So MD is basically something that we can use to write text, right? So in here, I list out the commands that we studied. The first was the ls command, list things out. Second was the cd command, which basically is for, change directory, and you have to give path from the current directory itself, right? Third we saw was to make a directory, right? Fourth we saw was touch, which is to make a folder, make a file, right? And before any of these, we studied pwd, which is the present working directory, right? And just to give a description, prints out the name of the current directory, right? And now let's do the other things. The last thing that we're going to see is how to remove a directory, right? So let's say I made this test directory, but I don't actually want that. But even before that, I don't want this again.js inside my test directory. So first I'll have to go into my test directory to make changes, right? So what I can do is I can do cd intro to command line, and remember you can press the tab, and inside this you can do the test directory, right? You can give a path like this too, and now we're directly inside our test directory, right? Great. So now what you can use is the rm command. So if you do rm again.js and you press enter, you see that is deleted. So that removed our file for us, right? And I'll do 5 rm. Now RM will also work on folders, but there's a small difference. So if I go back And now I try to remove this folder. Let's say I do rm test directory. This says cannot remove test directory because it is a directory, right? So rm, just the rm command is for removing a file. What we can see here is it's just a subset of the rm. So type rm dash rf, right? And that will be, so this dash thing is basically, it's a mode like, so rf is basically, I've cleared the terminal, and rf is basically like a mode, so that we'll get into later too. But what they're basically used to do, like if you have dash something after a command, the command here is rm only, right? It's not a new command. Rm dash rf is not a new command. The command is rf, but if we're typing dash rf here, means you are telling the terminal that I'm trying to remove a folder, right? And I'm trying to delete everything inside of that too. So you can do test directory here, and now you see the folder has been removed. So you can just remember this, that rm dash rf will remove a directory. Now you might be thinking that this is really complex and not something that I'm going to do ever, right? And trust me, that is what almost all of the developers think when they do this for the first time. But they end up spending their most of the time here, and they end up making a lot of folders and things to here, because when you become comfortable with this will be much faster than your normal GUI. One, there's it's faster, and second, you can do everything from this one single space right here. If you're on your local environment, you can do everything from your one single space right here, right? So you can like do anything in your whole computer, and that's really powerful. And the reason you're not comfortable right now is because we have seen a lot of commands, but we've not actually used them. So the next, I'll try to make an exercise, and you can do that, and then we'll see solution again. Then we can just go on and start with our next topic. But for now, this is the command line and the things that you need to know, and you can use this for all of your uses now. And it will take you a lot of time in the beginning, and you will think that why can't I just press this new button and I can do whatever I want. But trust me, if you don't know the terminal, then you will have a whole lot of problem in advancing with web dev and any coding, because terminal is always used, and there are a lot of things that you cannot do without the terminal. Plus, once you get acquainted with all of these and you get comfortable with all of these, you'll eventually switch to the terminal no matter what happens, because you will start liking it, right? No other reason. You will start liking it, right? Alright, so that was about the command line, and that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next